Welcome to Specifically About Quality, the podcast by Qualitywise, where we explore the principles, practices, and challenges of modern quality management. We will discuss key concepts, share real-world examples, and bring clarity to the complexities of quality management. In each episode, we provide insights for quality managers and professionals, helping you lead with confidence, ensure compliance, and drive continuous improvement. This podcast is here to support your work and your impact. Clear, focused, practical. Let's get into today's episode. Hi everyone, welcome to Qualitywise podcast, the place where quality isn't just a system, it's a mindset. I'm Agata Lewkowska, a quality management system expert with years of experience in automotive industry.
Hello, I'm Christopher Scott, an expert in quality assurance and operational excellence in the automotive industry as well. And today we're talking about something that's often spoke about, but rarely well defined: quality culture.
Yes, Christopher. It is a good topic for starting our brand new podcast of Qualitywise. So we are talking mostly that we want a strong quality culture in the organization, or we have the strong quality culture in the organization, and lack of quality culture is not our problem. But this is something which is mostly expressed by leadership. But how do you actually build one good quality culture? And today's what we are diving into, giving you exact hints how you can reinforce your quality culture.
I think we should start with the basics. Quality culture is the shared values and beliefs and behaviors that support quality outcomes. And the key point is even when no one's watching.
Yes, this is a good point, when even no one is watching. It's the difference between a checklist with requirements, like we have in QMS, for instance, the certain already defined list with requirements, and just taking pride in getting it right at the first time. And it's driven just as much by leadership as it is by the people on the shop floor. So generally, everyone's responsibility is to work, to be defined in this quality culture. And let me just here start with the basics. We have the terminology standard, ISO 9000. In many cases, I must tell you that this is underappreciated standard because simply this is not the standard with the requirements. These are only terms and definitions. And there we can start from the basics with the quality principles. And here, let me just tell you that these quality principles are actually coming from very old total quality management philosophy, which actually started in 80s last century. Yeah, so this is not anything brand new. It was thought out and actually implemented starting from Japan. Yes, and those at that time 8 quality principles actually right now shortened to 7 because system approach is just taken out as something which is supported by different quality principles, is simply something which is built into our quality management system. We don't have to know that even this exists. So first thing is that we are building the quality culture starting from actually performing all the requirements, meeting the requirements in our quality management system. Another thing what I can say is that we have quality policy and this definition, what quality policy means. And actually this is about expressing the strategic direction of the organization simply, yes, which is in somehow communicated to the people in our organization. But about quality policy, I believe we will still talk during our first episode about quality culture. So I will just maybe park this for a second. So Christopher, what else we can add about quality culture?
I think you raised some really good, interesting points there, Agata. And from my perspective, I think quality culture isn't about having the best documentation or documents in your quality management system. It's about how people act and think day to day. Do they believe and do they have the right mindsets on a daily basis. It's not just good enough to pass the audit and get 9001 or IATF in the 16949 in the automotive sphere, as we all know quite well. And some of our listeners will know this policy and requirements for the clauses. So quality documents such as the policy or procedures are not enough. So when something isn't right, it needs to be called out and addressed, and it needs to be fixed as soon as possible in the organization. I think when it comes to the quality policy requirement itself, it needs to include a commitment to satisfy all applicable requirements within the clauses. It should also include things like customer satisfaction, continuous improvement, focusing on prevention of defects rather than containing them. These are all the things I think are very critical to the quality policy and the quality mindset of the organization.
Mm-hmm. So starting from this formal expression by leadership defined in quality policy, now we should think why quality culture initiatives fail. What do you think?
Well, I think we need to be honest with ourselves as quality experts. We've seen this in our careers, and I'm sure our listeners have seen this before, but most attempts of creating a quality culture fail. Why? Why do you think that's the case, Agata?
Maybe because they are treated like a campaign with the beginning and the end. Companies say, we want a quality culture, yes, but you can't have it. You can't buy it. You need to create it, yes. It's not about launching some posters, and waiting that magic will happen, yes, because in such approach, nothing will happen, nothing will be changed, yes. The certification is needed, of course. Like in automotive, this is a must at least to have ISO 9001. But let's be frank, having the certification may be also an external motivation of the market, yes, not from our internal motivation that we want to work on quality, yes. That's why I think this is the first thing why it can fail.
I completely agree. So culture change isn't a campaign, it's a process. So what we mean by process is that repeatability, so it's not a one-time event. We have to focus on sustaining that improvement, driving it into the organization, and preventing failures because it's no longer just an initiative just to get the certification, as you explained earlier. A lot of organizations hire really good consultants to get them the 9001 to create a perfect QMS, but it isn't a day or two. And in my experience, especially in supplier quality management, I audit suppliers, I check them, and they've got all the certificates, and it says it's really good. But at the end, you go and see on the shop floor on the Gemba, it's not applied at all, and that's the key thing that I see.
Mm-hmm. So, if I would like to say, what could be the biggest mistake in working with quality culture is that in many organizations, it is thought that quality belongs to simply quality department. But it doesn't. It starts with leadership and spreading this quality mindset throughout the organization. Silos concept, where we worked once in functional departments, is finished since actually the management science development in 90s of last century. So now it's process approach, yes? So we need to also think that our quality is the common responsibility of everyone who is also participating in the processes. And QMS leadership is one of the big responsibility, which is just simply given to the leadership, yes? Let's also remember about quality awareness, another requirement in ISO 9001 simply. We already mentioned about quality policy, but with quality policy, we have quality goals related, yes? First needs to be quality policy established, and secondly, the goals which are supporting this strategic direction, which in quality policy is simply demonstrated. And I could say also about quality management system effectiveness, yes, and the consequences of on any non-conformities for quality management system. But there's really a lot of things which can be said here about. But generally, I think the biggest mistake in creating quality culture is that there is no support from leadership and that still everyone is thinking that quality is in quality department, which is not true anymore.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's such an important point, not just because of our own personal journeys and so on. We see this as quality professionals in corporate structures as well as consultancy. And if management doesn't walk the talk, then people will notice. So if they're not on the shop floor, they're not a part of the audits, they're not involved in the certification, for example, and they only come at the beginning and end of the wrap-up meeting and so on, the introduction meetings, then they're not really buying into the culture and they're not really endorsing the why do we need to have this accreditation or certification in the first place. So culture dies when there's no accountability, no visibility, and no consistency. And I think that's the main message. Top management or leadership need to be involved and to drive the change.
Yes. So let's answer the big question. Where to start if you want to build a true quality culture? Christopher, any ideas?
Well, I would say step one, define what quality means in your organization. So not the textbook version, not the copy paste between different organizations you've maybe worked for or you've seen online. Your version is really important. How does that fit for your company? Make it specific, practical, and tied to the customer experience. So again, going back to the quality policy needs to be the message of your organization and what you're going to do for your customers to ensure quality assurance. And how are you going to get new business wins? So these are new sales contracts or new opportunities to grow. Customer satisfaction, as I've mentioned earlier in the podcast, is critical because it's your customers that drive sales. It's your customers that come back for repeat business. And if you do this, you're going to get increased sales and market share. So you're going to either dominate the market or you're going to grow your business. And that means more jobs, more sales, and then more growth overall.
So from my perspective, let's say step 2 is how to build this good foundation for a quality culture is simply this, what we already said. Get leadership involved in a visible way. And also it has to be consistent. Culture starts at the top, yes? If your directors don't show up for audits or reviews, no one else will care about it either, yes? So let's remember that actually starting from ISO 9001, there is a requirement. Of course, the leadership can always delegate the tasks. It will be always true and still aligned with the requirements, but this will mean not against quality culture. Leadership should not only be interested in this, what is happening in quality management system when there is audit, or simply let's be one step before the certification or recertification audit or surveillance audit. Let's remember about management review. Are they really taking care of this, what is happening there? Are they prepared for this? Are they reviewing it carefully? Are they taking the right decisions about possibilities or needs for continuous improvement, or maybe even about the resources, yes? These are all the things which are on their shoulders. They will not take those decisions when they will not understand what is happening inside quality management system. And management review is a great opportunity just to review everything what is happening. Also, in connection to management review, but not only, because actually from operational perspective, on daily job business, leadership has also responsibility for process effectiveness and efficiency, because they need to actually know if the processes are meeting the intended outcome. Yes, otherwise they need to decide. And what's more, which we can't forget, and you all actually already mentioned about customer satisfaction. So I will make it maybe more visible by saying customer focus. Of course, satisfaction is already the effect, but customer focus, this is just meeting the requirements, understanding these requirements, implementing, maintaining these requirements, which customer requests us to implement simply. And what's more, to align ourselves with risk and opportunity approach. Also, this is important. Let's not forget about the statutory and regulatory requirements, which also can cooperate with this customer focus. And step 3, maybe, Christopher, maybe you also suggest something.
Well, I think for step 3 is to listen to your people at all levels in the organization. So not just the top management that decide the policy and the strategy, the mission, the vision. It's the people who do the day-to-day, the operators, the team leaders, the supervisors, the people who work in the offices. How can they help deliver quality, and what's blocking them from delivering quality? So where is the friction? Where is the barriers to improvement? What stops us from being better as a company? What's being tolerated that shouldn't be? The phrase we've all heard is we've always done it that way. We'll always do it that way. Why fix what isn't broken? So I think the most important thing is to do something which the industry knows in automotive is called a Gemba walk, or a shop floor walk. And that basically translates to go to the place of work, the place of value. Where do we add the value on the product? And we're looking for waste. We're looking for inefficiencies. We're looking for procedures not being followed or not established. A Gemba walk is there to go from beginning to end, from goods in to manufacturing, inspection, assembly, and so on. If there's any rework processes, all the way to goods out, to understand where are the problems and where are the things people are doing that they shouldn't be doing and what isn't normal. That is the whole point of a Gemba walk. It's not there to tick the boxes. It's there to find the problems and to break the problems and stop them from happening again.
Yes, I also like this, that when you said that people should be involved, yes? So when you involve employees in the definition and execution of quality in different aspects, let's say quality goals, you get the ownership, yes? And again, awareness of my impact on quality is a mandatory requirement even in ISO 9001, yes? How do I contribute to effectiveness of quality management system? We can't obey this requirement, yes? It's really hard to audit this. However, it is a requirement. Also, motivation is another driver which creates the environment for innovation and continuous improvement. This is also something which can support quality culture in our organization.
So I think here's the key culture. It isn't just about attitude. It's about behavior reinforced by systems. And I think what I'd like to add to that briefly is, for the awareness topic you just discussed, most people, when you audit them, will say, oh, we've got the quality policy on the wall in the canteen, or it's at the beginning of the reception. That isn't awareness. That isn't really satisfying the requirement. I think having an onboarding process and an annual training program is better than just to say it's on the wall and people understand it. I think that's quite important. But from your perspective, Agata, what would you say about the system itself?
I would say, when we are talking about the people, if the system punishes people for reporting mistakes, so simply we are not meeting the requirements, you won't get honesty. And if the processes rewards only speed, because of course the delivery performance is another aspect of customer satisfaction, yes, don't expect care. So this can lead to bad habits, yes, that people just would prefer to have calm life instead of choosing quality, yes.
So I think one simple system change is to include quality metrics in daily production meetings. So these are your stand-up meetings when you start the shift or the process. Let the team lead, not just quality engineers, to talk about issues. So that, again, that gets back to ownership. It's not just the quality people, the technicians or the engineers or the quality managers talking about what's bad or what's an issue. The main thing is to get that ownership so they are reporting their own metrics about quality. And that's what's really important on these Gemba meetings, these shop floor discussions.
So this actually could be a kind of rituals in our organization, like daily meetings reviewing last day performance, weekly improvement reviews, monthly quality related KPIs, whatever, how we define the time frame, yes, interval. So this is also something which can be very important for quality culture, yes. But let's remember that having KPIs is telling us straight if our processes are meeting this, what we intended. Yes. Otherwise, we need to take corrective actions. Yes. To, achieve the future performance.
Let's talk about some practical examples that work. I think moving on from what you just said, which was really good points, I think. I work with a supplier where they created a quality shout-out board or some sort of like KPI or a 4M visual management is something people are aware of, like a visual way of showing what are the potential issues. Another way of using it is called QRQC, which stands for Quick Response Quality Control. And that empowers the employee to raise a ticket or a card to say there is a problem and there's an escalation path. So anyone can post it. It doesn't rely on putting your hand up and getting the quality technician or inspector in your organization to do the shout out. We need to empower the people so they can say, I caught a problem and I stopped a problem. And that's what we need to do going forward. In your experience, Agata, what could you add to that?
Mm-hmm. As a good practical example that works, I must tell you that in one organization where I was employed, I remember that plant manager was starting work as early as me. I usually started my day at 7 a.m. in the office. So I saw him every day working that early hour on the shop floor, even before turning on the computer. Moreover, I remember days when I was auditing night shift. So I started like 5 a.m. And I saw plant manager even after 6 a.m. on the shop floor. So this is really a good example because it was really presenting the care, yes, that there is an interest from plant manager, actually the person who is not that much involved in operational activities, taking decisions on the shop floor.
I think that's quite interesting because that's showing ownership and real leadership. And in companies where I think are successful that I've been a part of and I've seen, especially suppliers, the top management really own it. And when they're on the shop floor, it shows that it cares. But to move on to that, another team had monthly cross-functional walkthroughs. So these are not audits, they're just conversations before it becomes official. I think open communication gave a voice to people who never spoke in a formal setting, and that can be quite daunting, especially when you're top management. The people that decide the function of the business, the finances, whether they hire or fire, all these things, it can be quite intimidating to speak in front of these people. And I think breaking down those barriers to communication to open, transparent, honest conversations and good feedback is the way to try and break down those barriers.
Mm-hmm. So let's say, as the final advice for quality leaders, for our listeners, let's say that you are a quality manager. What would you do as the first moves tomorrow, Christopher?
So step one would be to define what quality means in your organization. So in the context as the business, align your team around clear shared definition of quality based on customer expectations or needs and company goals. What does the company want to achieve to meet both requirements? I think for step two, you need to secure visible leadership commitment, meaning, as you'd explained earlier in the podcast, that they need to show their commitment by doing, not just seeing, being on the shop floor, do the Gemba works and so on. So quality culture starts at the top. Leaders must model the behaviors they want to see across the organization. Instead of just saying, here's some values on the wall, they need to demonstrate those values that are on the wall. Step three would be to engage all employees early. So change is difficult for people. They struggle to follow that change curve, especially in denial. Include the operators, the engineers, the support staff in quality discussions, not just managers. I think getting that buy-in is important because they feel like they're a part of the solution and the improvement activity. For number four, I would say start with micro behaviors. These are things like small daily habits that reinforce quality, such as stopping when defects are found or asking why more often instead of just assuming we've always done it this way. Why should we do this? Why shouldn't we do this? That's quite important. And finally, I'd say for step number five would be to build trust through transparency. So create an environment where people feel safe to report problems and admit mistakes without fear of blame. And that's the ability to put their hand up. And I've worked in some really successful organizations, high volume manufacturers, where everyone could put their hand up and say there's a problem, and they didn't feel fear of being told off for doing that.
Very good advices. But let me continue this list. Let's maybe say another one. Make quality visible. Use visual indicators, dashboards, or celebrate quality milestones to keep it top of the mind. Yes, that people will really remember about this. Another one could be, so seventh, I believe, connect quality to purpose. Show how each role contributes to customer satisfaction or even product safety, but also process reliability. The eighth, create feedback loops, give regular feedbacks on quality performance maybe, and close the loop on improvement actions, yes? But close them when the actions are implemented. And ninth one, it will be use real examples and stories. Share just case studies. Yes, people will remember everything what was connected to quality when you will tell it in a daily life situation story. Yes, like storytelling simply. You can say what went wrong, what went right. Yes, this will be a kind of lessons learned, what our organization learned. And the last one will be patient and consistent. Yes. As we said at the very beginning, culture change or even creation is not a project. It will be a long journey, really long, yes, because everyone needs to believe in it. So keep showing up, reinforcing behaviors. And my final advice would be answering the question, what I dislike in my organization influencing current quality culture? If you will answer this question, then you'd know which activities shall we abandon.
Culture isn't just a campaign. It's what you reinforce every day, especially when no one's looking. So when people care, quality always follows.
Let me also say it in other words. If you're trying to build a quality culture, you can't wait for perfection. Start small, be consistent, and be an example for the team. And, of course, if you want help getting started, Qualitywise is here. At Qualitywise, we help companies build real, sustainable quality cultures. From floor-level engagement to leadership coaching, we offer workshops, assessments, and action plans tailored to your team. Whether you're starting from scratch or refreshing your approach.
Visit www.qualitywise.pl and download our free guide, 10 first steps to a quality culture that sticks. Start with one step and build from there. Thanks for joining us, and remember, culture isn't what you say, it's what you reward.
Thank you for listening to Specifically About Quality, a podcast by Qualitywise. If you found today's episode valuable, consider subscribing, commenting, and sharing it with colleagues who care about quality as much as you do. Until next time, stay focused, stay consistent, and keep rising the standard.